Go.
Okay.
Come back. We're back up. We're back up.
Okay, I promise you we are on 5G. We are not on our wimpy Wi-Fi. So I'm going to blame this on Facebook. So, you know, they do have problems too, as everybody knows, when they were down for 48 hours, 24 or 48 hours. Okay, thank you. We're back again. Here we go. So I was talking about how I was collaging this piece. So I did, a lot of times I'll start with a base. So you can see the base here, and that helps to give you something to collage to. And then here's a little bit of fusible, and then I stitched it. The next thing that I did was I have a non-traditional hanging method with, this is one of those placemats that you can get that have these kind of things. And of course, yes, my stitching came out. So I attached it to that, and then I have a hanger. So this is my hanging method, and I always try to look for different hanging methods. I love old hangers, which I have tons and tons of them from my grandfather's house. And pants hangers work really well, and regular hangers. So that's kind of my first one. Then my next one is this piece here. So the border is paper. It is fabric paper. Can you see that? I'm going to set it down. I'm going to move this one out of the way. And I'm going to set this one down. So if those of you who long ago when we were doing some shows, some retreats in Colorado, I did teach this class where we actually created fabric paper. All of this is fabric paper here. We dyed fabric to go in there, and then we rusted some product, which is rusting here. And this is from a trivet. So when you rust, you pop out the tile that's on these trivets, and it gives you these fabulous frames. It's wonderful. This is vintage lace. I would say going forward, what I would do was I would have misty fused the paper and put it on a backing, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure if I did that. It seems to be wearing okay, because this is much more fragile than fabric is. Just plain fabric is these papers and things, because they do sometimes have a tendency to wear. And then lots of paint are in here. I absolutely love the tissue paper section. You know, some people wrap their gifts. Other people watch for the tissue paper that's coming out of the bag and grab it. So I don't normally wrap my gifts in tissue paper because I've kept them. All right, so that's that one. This is another one that was done.
We have a question. Could you use decorative napkins? Yes.
That have a funny story about that too. So yes, decorative napkins are great, and napkins are usually multiple layers. So I peel them so that I only get the printed layer. And I do have a napkin for you, so I can show you what I mean. But yes, napkin swaps are really big. We have, sometimes if I get a run on decorative napkins, I don't need the whole pack. I really just need one or two. So then we bag them up and put them in a bag and sell them. But yes, decorative napkins are awesome. They are great. So this is another piece that was rubber stamped as well. So this is fabric paper both here and here. I've hand stitched on this one. I've hand stitched on this. I printed a butterfly. I carry my stuff all over, so it kind of tends to get beat up a little bit. But I really just want to show you my stuff rather than keeping it in a closet. So you can see there's some hand beading in there, some ribbons. The back paper, the fabric paper was made two different ways. And I'm gonna flip it. So, and I've mounted it on a piece of wool. It's just a piece of wool. And you can see I don't even have a hanger on it yet, because the tack works really well if you're desperate. Okay. This is a piece that is a little more recent, but, and this is totally different. There's not too much fabric paper in here. I think there's a little bit of fabric paper. But what happened was the elements are paper and fabric. So this piece is, this is Denise Burkett, and it was a scrap. And I fused it together. These were all little pieces. Chris gives me her scraps. She brings them in. And so I fused different pieces together. And then I had her, I collect pictures of women from, 1900s. I love that. And so I had printed her on paper. And then we had these little necklaces that we had made, which I wasn't wearing anymore. So I pulled that and a little bit of lace here. And it's mounted, this is on Peltex. So you can see my stitching. I did some free motion stitching on it, but a lot of it was fused. And you could be done with fusing, although I need stitching on things. So that's just mine. And then there's some foil. This was part of a demonstration that we had about foil and using the molding type paste and using the foil on that. So all of those things, it used to be safe to throw your scraps away, and I have increased my size of scraps. I used to be the really, really tiny ones, but I just keep these things that may have been a test or a class or a sample that truly you're looking at it going, oh, this didn't work well, but in something else it might work okay. And in my studio, I have bins. So this bin, I'll show you more in detail, has some fabric paper in it, some mixed media things, some luchador, and that's a bin. Then I have another bin of silk paper. Then I have a little folder full of pictures that I printed, whether I did it on tap, whether I printed directly on paper. So I keep all of those because you never quite know when you're going to use them. And that becomes my fodder for working with this mixed media product. Okay? Everybody with me so far? All right. Move that out of the way. Okay, so we're going to kind of switch things. I've got a table going where I can show you how I make my fabric paper. And honestly, my stash is not any bigger than yours. This is things that we've accumulated from teaching classes over the years, and we keep them bundled up. These are paper towels that have been dyed. As I said, I hoard tissue paper and have certain things that, like I love black and white tissue paper, but I also love circles and things. So they just kind of stay there. I am going to use matte medium this time rather than a textile medium, just because over the weekend we had done a demo on silk paper and we used textile medium in order to try and keep the silk a little bit softer. I thought, okay, well, I'll try that and see if the same concept works, because I keep thinking it does. It did not hold the paper strong enough. It did not get enough in there to hold it. So I went back to matte medium. So just so you know, I did try. So here's some napkins that I used. All right, so let me tell you about the napkins. So these are kind of the hand towel type things. All right, so if you see here, you want to peel that off. You don't want that. You don't want it, you want it as thin as you can get it. Sometimes it's 3, my glasses. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 4. The better towels are multiple layers, but let's see. This one, sometimes you have to rip them to get it, but that looks like it was only 2 layers. So you want to take the excess off. You only want the printed part. All right. I have this dictionary. My cousin in Massachusetts had this really old dictionary, and when she was bringing some stuff down for us, she's like, there's only one person that I know who would still want a dictionary because everybody else has Google. Well, I love the old one because it's really thin. It's nice and thin, and so I do use it, and ripped out some pages. I'm not reading it, I'm just using it for text, so I'm going to cut pieces I try not to have too much white. So these are real thin. We have a dictionary, words many languages, and you will find different weight papers in there. Some will be heavy, some will be lighter. Paper, we use pattern paper a lot. We try to wrap our orders in that and send you out a little ephemera at the same time. This, as I said, black and white works really well because I like to put paint on it as well. So, okay, somewhere in here is fabric, paper. Aha, fabric. Okay, so the whole part of the fabric process is that it's muslin. So this is the only layer that's fabric at this point. You can use fabric instead of paper or in addition to paper, but this is where it starts. All right, and my matte medium had dried out a little bit. Most of the time I just use it straight out of the jar, meaning I don't add it, I don't water it down, but this had gotten a little thick because we hadn't used it in a while. And the trick is to soak. So we can see actually the tablecloth underneath it, which is a plastic tablecloth. And you want to make sure that you're soaked through. If you are dry in places, your paper's not going to adhere. So you want to definitely kind of make sure that you're going all the way through. All right, so I just am adding pieces. I generally start with the text first. I have some just kind of creating background. We're just doing background. Okay, so I have to make sure that the paper has matte medium on top and bottom. So I've soaked my paper. I've soaked my muslin, so that's one side. Then I have to come back and soak the top. All right, so I'm just randomly putting these down in there somewhere. It's usually the first step. I mean, and you can use anything. I mean, some of the things that would be cool is we just found some old needlework patterns and things where they are very thin and they have great words and great pictures. You could definitely use those. All right. Yes, that happens easily. All right. Then we might, this paper, I don't know where I found this paper, but some of the papers, Tim Holtz has some that are thin enough, I think, that would work this way. I'm not sure if that's his intention, but they work. And you can see this is kind of big size. I don't normally go that big. I have a little bit here. I try to go smaller. Are there any questions so far?
None so far?
None so far, okay. All right. Kind of boring watching me sit there and put matte medium on these things. Sorry about that, guys. All right. This is part of a napkin, and I tend to rip, so I have organic. So now I've got a little bit of color going into there. And I'm not creating a painting, I'm creating fabric. So don't think of it as one whole piece, because very rarely will you use it as a whole piece. You're gonna cut it up, it's gonna have different things, but I know, so why am I taking so much time arranging things? It's a bit. It's a bit. What's Beryl Taylor says bits, and I believe in that. Okay, so we have a little bit of that. Now, here's this great napkin that we had. So I ripped it. Okay, some sides rip better than others, but that's okay. It's all organic. And so I might say that I'm going to cut this piece out and make something with it. So I'm going to leave it whole. So that might be a focal point. But I won't use this piece whole. Does that make sense? I'm going to... All right.
There is one question.
Yeah.
When stamping on tissue paper, they saw your demo of some sort of gel medium. Do you do that, then attach the fabric with Misty Fuse?
Ask me that again. Okay.
So, Marcy saw your demo with some sort of gel medium. When stamping on tissue paper, do you use that and then attach it to Misty Fuse?
Okay, yes, no, okay, so, yes, okay, got you. So what happens here, so tissue paper works the same way whether I've stamped it or not. So this is, let's see, oh, you cut me one already, sorry. Let's see what we do with this one. So tissue paper is great. When I'm working with my jelly plate, I will always stamp tissue paper, because then I can create my own patterns. All right, so here. And this becomes part of my stash. So what I would do is let this dry, and then I can put it here with matte medium. So when I don't use it directly from the tissue paper, I use it as decorative tissue paper. Did that make sense?
No response yet, but I'll let you know. Yeah.
All right. The other thing that we have, which we got a little crazy with, but I have them, and maybe I'll share them in one of these treasure boxes, is these are all dyed paper towels. So, and they're a little heavy. I really wish that they would be a little bit lighter, but these were done quite a bit. So these might even take an extra amount of glue, because they're heavier than the tissue paper. But those can get used as well.
Yes, that did answer the question.
Okay, cool. All right. So then, you just kind of keep on going. And this is, again, a project that is better if you just make more. So once you get all of this stuff out, just stay with it. Just keep going, playing. Don't worry about making a mess. Just kind of go with it. All right, so then I take paint, and I might use some paint. And you do have to worry about, it's nice because the matte medium helps you with this, but you do have to watch that you are, matte medium helps the paint spread easier. So it's, this is what I was trying to say.
Sharon says hello from Needlework Emporium.
Hey Sharon, you made it, yay! And then the other trick that I learned is, okay, say that I don't like that. It's too much pink, too much pink. I don't know, I'd never say that. But so then I can take some white, maybe, acrylic. This is all acrylic paint. It's water-based paint. I like it because normally it dries faster. All right. This is the end of the bottle, I think. Okay. So I can dial back some of this color by putting some white in there. So, yes, I use my fingers all the time.
You're never too old to finger paint.
Nope, you're not. So that's that kind of thing there. So anyway, just keep going. Again, remember, you're going to use it in bits. You're going to use it in pieces. You're not going to use it whole. Most of the time, you're not going to use it whole. So this will take a while to dry. And so I just kind of generally lay it to get some air going back and forth. But it'll be a couple of days before I can even use this one. Because I definitely used a lot. Just wanted to show you what, paper, this. And what's very cool is you can see underneath it. That's what's so neat about the tissue paper, is that you can see layers, and it all builds. I can go over my paint and it'll come through a little bit. So this is one of those times where I definitely say matte medium is better than some of the other stuff. Okay. Any questions about that?
No more hellos. Sharon's regards are coming through Bethany.
Oh, okay.
Mary Murtaugh says hello.
Mary, hi.
There's a lot of people who said hello at the beginning.
Okay, hello everybody. Thank you. I like to know that somebody's out there even though we started late. I'm so sorry. Okay, so the next I'm going to show you my bin. And I'm gonna, okay, I think I have scissors over here. We're gonna switch back. So this is a piece that I made in preparation for this. I did do some prep. Do I have scissors? Let me see. Okay, scissors are back here. Okay. So who's the furthest west that's on there with us? Who got up early today? Anybody? Anybody west of the Mississippi? We do post everything on YouTube, so please visit our YouTube channel. There's lots of previous demos and things. We try to give you a list of suggested products and things in the YouTube. We're now that we've made it a little bit further through the pandemic, I'm starting to do lectures and workshops for guilds in person, and hope to be able to develop some of these multi-day classes into Zoom. So that's on. I put it out there. It's for the universe. I have had not 10 seconds to think of it earlier, but I will try to do it going forward.
We've got 2 from Texas.
Okay, Texas. All right. I'm sorry I won't see you at Quilt Festival this year.
3 from Texas.
3 from Texas, yes. All right. So this is kind of my bin. And I'm just going to show you a few things just because it's fun to take it out and look at it. And a lot of times, if I'm not feeling very creative, sometimes just pulling out my art supplies or a drawer or some fabric will really help kind of spark something.
South Dakota.
South Dakota. Is that Megan?
No.
Oh, we have a Megan in South Dakota. All right. So these are craft text pieces that are got put in the dye pots. These are heavy duty. They're great for purses and bags, but also for pieces. We did a silk paper demo over the weekend, and I found this. I want to tell you, this is my personal silk screen that I made in college, which was quite a long time ago. I'm not sure why I still have 10 of them, but I do. Some luchador pieces. One of the other things I like to do is use shears in that medium, because then you get this kind of look here where you can see through it. It's wonderful in the windows. All right, so what else we got in here? This is some fabric paper, so to speak, where we fuse things on in layers with Misty Fuse. There's some really cool layering that you can do. This piece here. All right, I'm kind of showing you the things that, oh my God, why did I make that? This was something I made for the window, which was a catastrophe. All right, now we got to the fabric paper. So here's some more fabric paper.
I'm just going to keep shouting out locations.
Okay.
Washington State.
Washington State. Ooh, you got up early.
We got, I'm going to butcher this, I'm sorry. Saskatchewan, Canada?
Okay, Saskatchewan.
I have friends there.
Yeah,
I just can never pronounce it correctly.
Okay. All right, so here's all of this. And here's one where I actually put some dyed pieces in. So, okay, so now you know what my bin looks like. I was able to, here's some more napkins. So if you want to be able to see through it and have light, use a polyester sheer underneath it rather than a muslin. Does that make sense? So then you can see. All right. So then the next thing that happens is I have people who say to me that they'd like to know how I get to a finished piece. I'm gonna try and give you some ideas on that. I think about things. I end up going together kind of quickly, but doesn't mean that in the back of my head it's percolating. I usually have these trays where I put stuff. So say I want to work with this bird. So this is a tap transfer, and I want to make something with that bird. Well, the bird's the first thing that goes into the tray. And you've heard me talk about these before. So it's small, little tray, and I start with the bird. Then I'll start with a piece of fabric. Then I'll start with something else. And so I'll kind of build it as I go, because I get only small parts of time to create. Many of us only get small pieces of time to create. So as I'm putting things in the tray, I have it in my mind, oh, okay, you know, in the back of my mind, when I'm supposed to be doing accounting, I'm thinking of creating a wall piece, then I think of those pieces in that tray. So then once I get there, once I have my ability to be, I get my 30 minutes, then I go ahead and pull it together. All right, so, and this is truly a test because I don't have my tray.
Jackie has used this for journal covers, and it works great.
Yes, yes, absolutely awesome. There's journal covers. The silk paper is great for journal covers, and these are great for that. Okay, so let's see what we got. And I forgot my bin of fabric, so we're gonna just punt. Punt, my favorite word, punt. Okay, so, we'll see how this goes. It's hard for me, I can't. Okay, that's as much time as I get. Don't have to, I really try hard not to overthink things. Once you put the gel medium on it, your muslin is not gonna rip very easily. So I have to revert to scissors. So, let's see. This is hard to talk at the same time, I'm sorry. Now, okay, so here's something I don't normally do. Do you see the size of this? So now I've cut my piece in half. Half is not good. You want to do it in thirds or quarters and such. So maybe what I would do is I'm going to draw a line. I might have a piece in there. Right. This is why I need lots of pieces, because I don't always cut on the edges. We need a little bit of pop there, here. Now I don't have the luck of having Misty Fuse because of course we forgot that. But I have a Bernina. So this is gonna be kind of messy. Should feel like I should be singing a Jeopardy song.
We'll work on getting some background music.
All right, so you can see there's some things peeking through here that yeah, that's okay. I can always add beads, I can add little charms, that type of thing. All right, so how am I gonna get this all together? So, and of course I only have red thread, so it's gonna be red thread. Okay. We're working on a 475 Bernina.
Question, can you explain why you don't have Misty Fuse? Because you have a Bernina?
No, I forgot to bring my Misty Fuse. That is the only reason why we don't have it. I have it in the store, I'm sure, but honestly, I would fuse this together, but you don't necessarily have to. It would probably after the fact, what I'll do is once I put it together, I'll take it home where my Misty Fuse is, and then I'll use it. So,
where would you put it if you did have it?
okay, I would most likely put it on the back of these guys. Then I would assemble my little quiltlet, and then I would fuse these pieces to another piece so I actually could create a hanger for it. Does that make sense? All right, now let's hope there's a bobbin in here. When I'm working on paper, I am going to lengthen my stitch because I just do maybe to 3.5. All right, so let's see if we, I have to put the foot down. So this has a speed control on it, which is kind of nice. Lift it. So I have I just kind of sewed those together because you're trying to keep it manageable so that you can put things together. You can see I definitely need my Misty Fuse for my green, but that's okay, we'll do it without. Oh yeah. My 770, my personal machine is a 770 Bernina, and so I don't have to worry about putting the foot down. Up, there. That would make, Misty Fuse would make that much nicer.
What thread size are you using?
I have a 50 weight in here now. I do love to use 12. So 12 would be my, is my choice. And that is really nice with a longer thread. So Wonderfil Specialty Threads has great size 12. And so when you use that, it's going to give you a bossier stitch. Okay, this green is making me crazy. Oh, yeah. This is where fusible would have been nice. Now this is still a little bit sticky. You can see my foot is having a little trouble with that. So what I would do instead is I would use a Teflon foot, because you can, when you do this, silk paper still has a lot of matte medium in it. So Teflon foot would be really kind of cool. That would make it much easier. Foot down. This actually has a knee lift, which I love knee lifts, because then I don't have to worry about it. What the knee lift does is it puts your foot up. So it's go to Bernina.com and do knee lift.
Ellie Young is asking why you don't use the scissors button on the machine to cut the thread.
Because I want my thread loose. My messy threads will be part of my piece. So I'm going to leave all of those threads there. See, you can see. So if I had fusible and had fused it down, some of these pieces would not have been so tough. So I'm really sorry about that. It needs a little bit of brightness to it somehow. I'll have to percolate what I'm going to do with it, but that's pretty much how I, collage things together, is that I have all of these pieces in my stash and I bring them together to create a little collage. So that was fast and furious, no planning ahead, except for to make that piece of fabric paper for you, to see what it does. Stitching not too bad on the back. But I wanted my edges, and yes, it does have scissors on it, which is really a feature I love about these new Berninas that are coming out. Needs beads. Needs something else, but I'm not quite sure what it is. Probably some dimension. Usually I add some charms. Maybe it needs a bird feather or something. What do you think?
Linda Williams bought a Burnett just so she could sew fabric on paper.
Yay! I know Linda's a paper girl. All right. That will work. And you can use any needle. So there's a couple of differences on sewing paper. One, you want your stitch length to be a little bit longer. Do you want to, oh, that just went out the door. Needle size. Needle size, so you have 90 is the size that I use a lot of times. If you use 100, depending on your paper that you're sewing, it's going to leave a really big hole. So watch your hole. Sometimes if you're using 50 weight, you can use 70 size needle. We have this great book that's called Know Your Needles by Liz Kettle. We sell it by the boatload, and it's very valuable for machine needles and hand stitching to see what the differences are and why there are so many different types of needles. There's a gazillion. So that's one of the things that it can be kind of tricky. I tried sewing on some paper the other day in a 90 weight needle, and painted fabric I painted on a 90, and the holes were gigantic. So I knew, okay, I have to change my needle size, so therefore maybe I have to change my thread, and because you don't want everybody to just see the holes in the painted fabric. All right, we made it. We're over. I'm sorry to keep you so long. We have our third Thursday coming up. We have some wonderful new caftans from India that we've bought. That is from a friend of mine who is in the hill country trying to help some of these villages buy food. And then we have new batiks from Indonesia, which comes from different areas on the island of Java. Next Facebook Live will be my favorite feet on my favorite machine, which is the 770. And Bernina has just come out with a 770 Plus, which has a larger screen, which is really cool. And some new updated features that'll go on to your 770 that you might have now. Any questions?
People enjoyed it.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. I feel like it's a whirlwind, but I do appreciate all of you. And look for us on all the social media and shop frequently, and we are grateful for your purchases.